worthy to be protected by you. Gopta, the protector. Vrishaha, the best. Suharhanena, by worship. Sa sunritena, along with mild words. Tarhi, then. Eva, certainly. Nankshati, will be lost. Shivaha, auspicious. Tava, your. Deva, Lord. Pantaha, Panta, the path. Lokaha, the people in general. Agrahishyat, would accept. Rishabhashya, of the best. He, because. Tat, that. Pramanam, authority. Natvam divijotma kulam yadihatma gopam gopta vrishaha swarhanena sa sunritena tarhi eva nankshati shivastva deva pantha loka agrishyat rishabhasya hetat pramanam. Natvam divijotma kulam yadihatma gopam gopta vrishaha swarhanena sa sunritena tarhi eva nanshati shivastva deva panta loka agrishyat rishabhasya hetat pramanam. Natvam divijotma kulam yadihatma gopam gopta vrishaha swarhanena sa sunritena tarhi eva nankshati shivastva deva panta loka agrishyad rishabhasya hetat pramanam. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your Lordship. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated by the Lord himself that he acts and character of great authorities are followed by people in general. Leaders in ideal character are therefore needed in society. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in this material world just to show the example of perfect authority. And people have to follow his path. The Vedic injunction is that one cannot understand the absolute truth simply by mental speculation or logical argument. One has to follow the authorities. Mahajano yena gataha sa pantaha. Great authorities should be followed. Otherwise, if we simply depend on the scriptures, we are sometimes misled by rascals, or else we cannot understand or follow the different spiritual injunctions. The best path is to follow the authorities. The four Brahmana sages stated that Krishna is naturally the protector of the cows and Brahmanas, Go Brahmana Hitayacha. When Krishna was on this planet, he set a practical example. He was a cowherd boy and he was very respectful to the Brahmanas and devotees. It is also affirmed here in that the Brahmanas are the best of the twice born Brahmanas. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are all twice born, but Brahmanas are the best. When there is a fight between two persons, each of them protects the upper part of his body. Upper part of his body, the head, the arms, and the belly. Similarly, for the actual advancement of human civilization, the best part of the social body, namely the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, the intelligent classmen, the military class, and the mercantile men, should be given special protection. Protection of the laborer class not be neglected, but special protection should be given to the upper orders. Of all classes of men, the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas should be given special protection. They should be worshipped when their protection is performed. It is just like worshipping God. That is not exactly protection. It is a duty. One should worship the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas by offering them all kinds of endowments and sweet words. And if one has no means to offer anything, he must at least use sweet words to pacify them. The Lord personally exhibited this behavior towards the Kumaras. If the system is not introduced by the leaders, then human civilization will be lost. When there is no protection and special treatment for persons who are devotees of the Lord, who are highly intelligent in spiritual life, then the whole society is lost. The word Ninshyati indicates that a civilization, such a civilization becomes spoiled and is annihilated. The kind of civilization recommended is the Devapatha, which means the royal road of the demigods. Demigods are supposed to be fully fixed in devotional service or Krishna consciousness. That is the auspicious path that would be protected. If the authorities or the leaders of society do not give special respect to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and do not offer them not only sweet words but all facilities, then the path of progress will be lost to human civilization. The Lord personally wanted to teach this, and therefore he offered so much praise to the Kumaras. Thus ends the purport of 23rd verse. Om Ajnana Timurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chashkun Mulitam Yena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadanti Swa Padantiham Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamcha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sayana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sayana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Sacha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vineshwari Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpa Tarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschasya Deshatarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna devotees and let us understand the canto and then the chapter, then we will get into the verse and then we'll discuss in detail. And today's discussion is all about this Varnashrama and Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and then how the common people should follow the great people, that is Mahajanas, and how to become Mahajana, and who could be a Mahajana, and then a little more detail about this particular purport. Okay. So this canto, third canto, status quo. The status quo means generally in the first canto and second canto, this being discussed. It is like government passing an amendment, and now the discussion between the two devotees, two Mahatmas, it is being discussed. It is being discussed, and that is the entire this particular canto, that is called status quo. And we have been discussed about 15 chapters, and presently we are in 16th chapter. The two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya, cursed by the sages. The two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the sages. Who are those sages? They are the four Kumaras. Okay, they have been, visiting Vaikuntha. They have not entered into the Vaikuntha. They are in the seventh door. So during that time, this particular narration is happening. And this particular chapter being, divided into different divisions. Presently, we are in the second division, and first division is Lord apologize Kumaras. That was the narration. So Lord personally came out of, his place, and then at the door, there was a fighting or some kind of angry movement for these sages, these four Kumaras, along with the doorkeeper Jaya and Vijaya. For that, Lord started, apologize from Kumaras, because once it is being, one can think, how come, see the doorkeeper already they are blessed with the Lord, or everything is, Lord's will. So that is the understanding. And the second division of this particular chapter flows like this. Kumaras reply to Lord Narayan. So Lord himself comes and asks for apologize. And what is their mood, the sages, the Vaishnava, or, the Brahmanical mood, what they are expressing to the Lord is the today's, detail or the topic for the day. And let us read once again the translation, and then we will move, point wise related to the purport. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship. So this is the translation, and the purport we will discuss accordingly the point wise. So Prabhupada starts with, in Bhagavad Gita, it is stated by the Lord himself that the acts and character of great authorities are followed by people in general. Leaders of ideal character are therefore needed in society. So whatever great people for performs, the common people will follow. So according to Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 21st verse, the common theme of this particular verse is, a leader should perform prescribed duties to set an example for others. So even in further, we are going to discuss about Mahajanas, and they have nothing to do, they have, say Lord is Atmaram, but he comes and exhibits, for common, people like that. So in this particular verse, an ideal teacher who teaches by perfect personal behavior, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, an ideal teacher who teaches by the purport of, this 3rd chapter and 21st verse deals with an ideal teacher who teaches by perfect personal behavior. Example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is mentioned. One should behave properly before he begins teaching. For example, Prabhupada gives, leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. A leader cannot, teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. It's a very common example. And with my personal, observation, I would like to share. So we arranged, from a medical college, one rally for anti-tobacco, rally. So all the doctors and, volunteers and practicing doctors and, students, everyone was marching towards, one particular place to another place. In the middle, after some half a kilometer or something, there is a small, break. Some people had taken, and all these people went to one small petty shop, which is on the way, and they bought some cigarettes. Some of the doctors only, they bought some cigarettes and they started smoking, and they started having, tea, coffee like that. So that means a leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. So this is relevant example, I thought. So that means what the purpose only, here it is missing. Only I preach, but I will not follow. So that is not recommended. this 3.21 Bhagavad Gita. And further, it deals about what are the standard books, scriptures for humanity. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar other scripture, not like, some speculative or even in purport, we are going to deal it about that. If we follow blindly, only scripture also without guru or without, the great personalities like, Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, like that, we may end up with, speculative end, or we may end up with some other direction. In India, we all know how many versions of Bhagavad Gita, how many people have written, translation or purport for Bhagavad Gita. And only in our ISKCON movement, it is mentioned that Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhupada is very particular on that. So here we have nothing to do with this. This is the word, direct wordings from the Lord. So that is understanding, and that is a perfect exhibition of, transforming, knowledge. And also they behaved like that. And some of the practical leaders in this, modern world mentioned that natural leaders and their responsibilities. Natural leaders means, say for example, those days king, and today's executive head, or every parents and every school and college teachers, they are the leaders, we can say. And what is their responsibility? Prabhupada mentioned they have great responsibility to their dependents to help them progress on the spiritual path. But how many leaders, here it is mentioned king, or how many executive head, marching or bringing people together for the real purpose, or how many parents bringing up, following themselves, Krishna consciousness, and then their children. And then how many teachers, understand the real purpose of, knowledge. That is called, informational knowledge transformation. And this is, spiritual or, knowledge transformation. So how many people realizes that? That is a big question mark. And finally, Prabhupada says in that particular verse, Srimad Bhagavatam recommendation for progress is very simple. Not only in this 21st verse of Bhagavad Gita, our present, this 23rd verse, 16th chapter, 3rd canto, also emphasize this particular point. Follow in the footsteps of great devotees. So I'll go back to the purport and further, in the purport, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared in this material world just to show the example of perfect authority, and people have to follow his path. The Vedic injunction is that one cannot understand the absolute truth simply by mental speculation or logical argument. It's very simple. So it's relevant point to what we discussed, to follow the authorities. One has to follow the authorities. Mahajano yena gataha sa pantaha. Right? So here it is mentioned that, great authorities. So I'll stop, sharing the screen. So we will discuss, a few points about Mahajanas. Authorities means who are the real authorities. So what for we are, going to discuss authority, leaders. So what exactly that, leaders. And here it is mentioned that, once again, I'd like to repeat, that particular portion. Mahajano yena gataha sa pantaha. That means great authorities should be followed. Otherwise, if we simply depend on the scripture, we are sometimes misled by rascals, or else we cannot understand or follow the different spiritual injunctions. So who are those great leaders? So according to Srimad Bhagavatam, we all know 12 Mahajanas. So I'd like to name, all 12 Mahajanas. If you all know, you can also parallelly, can tell Brahma, Lord Brahma, great sage Narada, Lord Shiva, 4 Kumaras, Lord Kapila, and King Manu, and then Prahlad Maharaj, Janaka Maharaj, Bhishma Dev, Bali Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami, Yamaraj, and then Manu, Swayambhuva Manu. They are the 12 Mahajanas. So how they have become and why they are, Mahajanas. See, we all know. See, Brahma is such a elevated, devotee. We all know he's so, renounced, and he's so known for tapasya. That means meditating on Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even today's verse, this narration is coming from entire demigod, rushing towards Brahmaji, and they all are, telling that this progeny, the darkness is spreading all over the, all these, planets because of this, pregnancy. And what is the solution? And they went and, requesting him. Then Brahma only narrating all this, even, today's verse, what we are, discussing. So this is about a small detail about Brahma, how careful, Brahma in executing the duties as a authority of, Supreme Personality of the Godhead. And the next Mahajan is Narada Muni. So we all familiar, with Narada Muni. He is the only person, who can travel all over the planet, everywhere, playing the veena and chanting the name of the Lord. Though he was born in a Sudra family, and he, with the association of the great devotees, and he had become Mahajan, and he is not an ordinary person. He is a guru for, so many other, even Prahlad Maharaj, one more Mahajan is there. He is a guru of, Prahlad Maharaj. So like keep on, we can tell about Narada Muni. And then Lord Shiva. So we all know, so Lord Shiva, and here one of our Guru Maharaj notes I have taken. Here he gives, further details. Another extremely elevate quality of Lord Shiva is he does not care what anyone says about him. He has his service. Keep on, he will be doing service. And comparing with, normal householders like us, so many of our householders, they are afraid of whether their friends will say if they chant Hare Krishna. If they are afraid if they were, in a Kantimala, the people at work will laugh at them instead of, associating with upright aristocratic people of the society. And you would associate with the most horrible, crazy demons, Lord Shiva. But that was his service. His service to the Lord was to help uplift those in the mode of ignorance. So yeah, he was not feeling, anything. I'm not comfortable, in that mood. So he was so comfortable, Lord Shiva, whatever, that service, he was doing, those who are associating with, all these crazy demons and, all these ignorant people. So Lord Shiva is so merciful to take care of, that particular people, those who are in that position. Like, it is being compared how we feel, we are feeling shy, but Lord Shiva does not have any of that qualities. He least bother. Even we know his father-in-law, so many a times, commented about him, he does not have any stable place, or he does not have, where he lives, what he deals with, but he least bother about that. Like that. Then 4 Kumaras. That is what we have been, discussing. So these 4 Kumaras, they were born from, Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma wanted them to be a Prajapatis. He told them, I want to go. I want you to grow up, and I want you to get married, and I want you to have children. But these brahmacharis or, children, Kumaras, though growing up means we have to get children. We will never grow because we don't want to deviate our attention for one moment from the Lord. So that is a, their vow. The great the Nimbarkacharya, one of the greatest Vaishnavas, he has such a more influence, more than he has anyone in Vrindavana. And Lord Chaitanya, he had tremendous influence in Vrindavana. He is the humble servant of the four Kumaras. So these four Kumaras being worshipped by all our acharyas, and they are the perfect example for what is it? Always thinking of the Lord. So they are a great Mahajan. So that is the reason they are Mahajan. And about them only today's discussion. And then Lord Kapila is so focused for his famous for his knowledge, transcendental knowledge. How did he take care of his mother? By enlightening her with transcendental knowledge. And if you want to be a good son, follow in the footsteps of Lord Kapila Dev. How much he loved his mother, and how much he showed his mother the greatest love by engaging her in devotional service. So even we can also follow. So this is the reason it is mentioned. So they are Mahajan, and we should follow the Mahajan. So from each one of these Mahajans, we can take some qualities. He don't show his love for his mother by going through college, getting a job, and maintaining her household's job and greatest eternal treasure of transcendental wisdom by enlightening her in the science of Krishna consciousness, purely this supreme science. Then Swayambhu Manu. It is described in the Bhagavad Gita that he was one of the great authorities. Vivaswan instructed this his son Ikshvaku, and Ikshvaku to Manu, and in this way the disciplic succession of the supreme truth Krishna explained was established and carried on, but in due course of time it was cut, and that is the reason again the Lord comes. But the point is here the Swayambhu Manu, he is very firmly fixed in parampara system, right? Evam parampara praptam. So in that way, he followed the parampara. In that line, he is one of the Mahajan. He established. They are the rulers. They want to set the example for the society, not for their own false prestige, etc. Like that. Then Prahlad Maharaj. We all know Prahlad Maharaj is so known for his Smaranam. One of the most famous and worshipped of all heroes of Vedic scripture. And most importantly, he was born for a demonic family. Prahlad was being persecuted by the Hiranyakashipu. He was just a young child. He proved himself by his great faith in devotion to be able to overcome all the obstacles. So whatever it may be the obstacle, and recently, Narsimha Chaturdasi, we have celebrated. We heard more about, Prahlad Maharaj and, Narsingadev. And this particular verse is all about, his family only, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, right? And then Maharaj, Janaka Maharaj or Maharaj Janaka, one of the greatest Mahajan. His birth is very, interesting. As you know, what happened is there was a king by the name Maharaj Nimi, and he was to perform a great sacrifice for the benefit of humanity. And he is one of the Mahajan because he is the only king to follow all the regulative principles. So that means he don't want anything. Okay. So only he wants to set example. He started acting accordingly, right? Because see, in the modern world, we say some of the founder of, some industry, right? They have nothing to do, but sometimes they get into, what this particular, CEO is doing, what this particular manager or bureaucrats or some, leadership, next level, managers doing, not for them, and to set the example for others. They'll get into and exhibit. I heard, some, retired magistrate, went and solved some of the problem with the present, magistrate or, judges could not solve that particular case or something like that. So it's like that. Maharaj Janaka is not for his sake. He just for, to set the common man example, he started acting accordingly. So in Bhagavad Gita also, in some of the purport, Prabhupada mentioned that. And then Bhishma Dev. And Bhishma Dev was the perfect example for the brahmachari. And we all know the story of Bhishma, how he was brahmachari. He was supposed to be the king of the world, but selfless in respect of his father. He was willing to accept lifelong vow. He was such a great powerful, but he never accepted any respect for himself. So his vow is fixed in protecting or setting the example how to protect the country as a king, as a Kshatriya. He would never go back on his words and always spoke the truth. So these all are one of the beautiful qualities of Brahmana or a devotee or a Vaishnava. And then Bali Maharaj. So we all know Bali Maharaj was also a Grahastha, right? When Vamanadev, after Bali Maharaj conquered the entire, all this planet, Vamanadev came with this, begging pot, give me 3 steps of land. Bali Maharaj said, 3 steps, I can give you, planet, I can give you universe. And then Vamana grew so much that with his 2 steps, he covered the world and all the heavenly planets. Then he asked, where shall I keep my 3rd step? My Lord, please place your foot on my head. I surrender to you. That is Atma Naivedana. And because although he was such a great soul, because he was willing to sacrifice everything and gratefully accept Vishnu's feet on his head, he conquered Vishnu by his love. And also he is the perfect example for when a guru could be, what I can say, rejected. So it is there in our, initiation paper. Those who are submitting, they will be aware of it. There is one question, when the guru could be abandoned. So Bali Maharaj is the perfect, example. When his guru was, insisting, the person who had come is not, dwarf like that. But even though Bali Maharaj rejected that instruction, and then he set an example. So that is the reason, Bali Maharaj, and so on, so many things we can tell about Bali Maharaj. And then Sukadeva Goswami. So we all know Sukadeva Goswami is one of the greatest Mahajan. He is today we are discussing, with his message only, Srimad Bhagavatam. Son of, Vyadavyas. He had, attained, Brahman realization from his very life in the embryo, right? In the womb only he got enlightened, that Brahman realization. In fact, when Sukadeva Goswami was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva was one of the people in the audience. See how great, Sukadeva Goswami is such an elevated person, and his father, who had given the thesis for him to compile or, to expand it further, compile it further, he himself, said like, even we can find these qualities from Prabhupada. Prabhupada, one devotee was asking, Prabhupada, you have only, written the purport and these things, and why are you reading again and again? Like this is a, one of the quality of Mahajan. How Vyasadeva sitting when Sukadeva Goswami was preaching. That is a great quality. Then finally, Yamaraj. And Yamaraj is another of the greatest Mahajan. He was also a Grahastha, and my God, what a painful task he has. It's not that easy. How many people want to see Yamaraj? He is actually a pure devotee. So he is very perfect in the judgment. So in this so-called modern world, we claim that this is a verdict from Supreme Court. This is a verdict from High Court. So and so justice that this and all. So Yamaraj is very such a person who knows complete Shastra in and out. Otherwise, the who knows, the constitution or, penal code of that particular country, only they could be the judge. So how, the great position, Yamaraj, it is not that easy to deal with this. Even the point today's verse, what we have been discussing, which is relevant to, how to discriminate, how to set the perfect example. Otherwise, it will become wrong. So all this, four Kumaras trying to establish the same, what they are trying to establish, again, dharma only. If I will come back, to these are the qualities of, great Mahajans or great leaders or great personalities. And so this is the meaning for Mahajano Yena Gataha Sa Panta. So this is the meaning. And then the four Brahmana sages stated that Krishna is naturally the protector of the cows and Brahmanas, Go Brahmana Hitayacha. When Krishna was on this planet, he set a practical example. He was a cowherd boy and he was very respectful to the Brahmanas and devotees. So it is also affirmed herein that Brahmanas are the best of the twice born, Dvija. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas are all twice born, but the Brahmanas are the best among, these four. When there is a fight between, here there is some analogy being, given. If there is a fighting, then immediately the person will fight and protect upper portion of the body. Similarly, for the actual advancement of human civilization, the best part of the social body, namely Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas. And also Prabhupada very particularly gives, according to the verse, protection of the laborer should not be neglected. So we cannot neglect, no, it is only the nail of this body. It's like a body. So we cannot, neglect, what I can say, nail. If in some punishment and all we would have heard, if somebody is removing the nail, then it gives we cannot tolerate, such a pain, it will give. So it is not neglected. And the protection should be given, the priority should be given for this Duja, this, top class, civilized, persons. And one should worship Brahmanas and Vaishnavas by offering them all kinds of endowments and sweet words. So here, Prabhupada touching upon Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So let us look into little detail about who could be a Brahmana, who could be a Vaishnava. Then we will come back to the purport. So according to Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 13th chapter, 3rd verse, purport, a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. Vaishnava is already a Brahmana, although a Brahmana may not be a Vaishnava. The Padma Purana says, Sat karma nipno vipro mantra tatra visharadaha avaishnavo gururna syad vaishnavaha swa pacho guruha. The meaning is, one may be a Brahmana in terms of his culture and family and may be expert in Vedic knowledge and mantra tantra visharadaha. But if he is not a Vaishnava, he cannot be a guru. This means that means he cannot Brahmana by and again, three things I like to delete here. The birth identity Brahmana, that means caste Brahmana, is nowhere related here, right? So that point we are not at all taking for the discussion. That is concluded that by birth there is no identity. Prabhupada very clearly mentioned that the judge, son cannot be a judge. The lawyer's son cannot be a lawyer. So birth identity here nowhere question. By exhibiting or possessing that quality of a Brahmana, we will discuss more with respect to Bhagavad Gita. When we think about that point here, Prabhupada gives one particular comparison between a Brahmana and Vaishnava. A millionaire may very easily possess hundreds and thousands of dollars, but a person with hundreds and thousands of dollars is not necessarily a millionaire. I'm repeating, a millionaire may very easily possess hundreds and thousands of dollars, but a person with hundreds and thousands of dollars is not necessarily a millionaire. So millionaire is compared with the Vaishnava, and the one who has, what is this, thousands and, hundreds of dollars compared with Brahmana. This is for the better understanding according to that. And according to Bhagavad Gita, let us understand, who is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, because Duja. So in the purport, we understood, Duja Uttama Kula. That means Duja Uttama Kula means they are in the higher, stage in the Varna, Chatur Varna Maya system. In that, they are in the stage of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. This should be protected. And also it is a duty, not only the protection, it is a duty. So who could be a Brahmana? According to 18th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 42 second verse, there are 9 qualities given for Brahmana. There are 7 qualities given for Kshatriya, and there are 3 qualities given for Vaishya, and there are 1 quality given for the Shudra. And once again, I am reminding, according to the purport, the Shudra's protection should not be neglected, and higher protection should be given according to the order of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Even the Vaishnava qualities we have seen, that is above the Brahmana. So is it possible to exhibit these qualities in Kali Yuga? Let us check, self-assessment. There are 9 qualities for the Brahmanas. Let me tell the 9 qualities of Brahmana. One is peacefulness. So it's a big question mark. How many of us, are in peacefulness? Number 2, self-control. We can understand what is self-control. Austerity. In ISKCON, there are so many austerities recommended. So how we are, progressing in that. Then purity. That is also subject to question. How pure that person is. Tolerance. How tolerant, that particular devotee is. Then honesty. How great, this particular devotee following the honesty. And then knowledge. How good, he is in knowledge about spiritual knowledge. I am not the body, I am a spirit soul. Then wisdom and religiousness. So I'd like to quote, Prabhupada is the perfect example for the complete, the 9 qualities of Brahmana. But in Kali Yuga, if anybody could take up this progressive challenge, yes, everybody, not especially for me, all these points, far away. And we will move to Kshatriyas. Here in Kshatriyas, it is mentioned that 7 qualities. Heroism, we all can understand. Kshatriya means he should be a, exhibit some tremendous, qualities, then he or she could be a hero. Then power. If that person should be a powerful person, then only a Kshatriya. And then determination. Whatever comes, winning or losing. How Arjuna, Arjuna is the perfect example for this. Among the Pancha Pandavas, heroism. He is a skilled person in, applying the arrow and the war techniques like that. Then power. So he is the authority, right? He exhibited, from taking and seeking blessings of all the, his Guru and Vaishnavas. Though he is in the opposite side, there, Guru and, well-wishers blessed him. That is the power. And then determination. So he never went back. Once, he fixed his mind, we know the result of, Kurukshetra war. And then resourcefulness, right? Not only that, he is hearing, from the Lord. So how much resourcefulness? It's not that easy to get such a resourcefulness. Then courage in battle. So not like, hiding love. How the initial stage of, Arjuna, it's not like that. Courage in the battle. Take the arrow and, apply on, Karna, it's not that courage, and generosity. And also generosity, following, some of the restriction with Gada, we should hit, on these things, like that. And the one who is in the chariot, there are so many guidelines for generosity to follow. The Bhishma exhibited, we should not fight. I will not fight with a woman like that. And then, leadership. Yes, he was leading, the entire Pancha Pandavas, leading in the sense, with the support of, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has got that, quality. And about leadership, we have seen, all Mahajans, all these things. And then we will move to Vaishyas. Vaishyas, as I mentioned, three qualities: farming, cow protection, and some vaniga, that is business. That means, Krishi and Gorakshana, and some little bit, vaniga, some little business like that, selling of this, wheat, rice, whatever from the farmland. Like that. And then finally, Sudras, only one quality is labor and service to others, all these three qualities. So in that respect, here in the purport, it is mentioned that all these three, group of people should be given top priority, not only in the name of protection. It is a duty of other, it is a duty of the, leaders should follow this particular thing. And one more example I'd like to give and say, Queen Elizabeth, being provided with so much of facilities, she no need to take any visa to any country. She can, move around the world without any security checks like that. So the Brahmanas and especially Vaishnavas should be treated in that way, right? So to treat, Vaishnavas, it is our duty. Any Guru Maharaj comes or any senior devotees comes to our house, at least if I don't have any very opulent, treatment, at least with the sweet words, Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, I'm so fallen, this humble words will bring us, so close to these Mahajans. That is a message, here it is giving. And Krishna himself comes, Narayana himself comes and, setting the example. That is what these four Kumaras, preaching to us. This is the narration from Brahma. In this system, he is not introduced by the leaders, then human civilization will be lost. If this order is not maintained, if these qualities are not maintained, then that is mentioned, Nangshyati, that indicates that such civilization becomes spoiled and it is, annihilated. Next, then what civilization should be recommended or followed means Deva Patha. What is this Deva Patha? Which means the royal road of the demigods. The demigods are supposed to be fully fixed in devotional service or Krishna consciousness. That is the auspicious path that should be protected. So that is the protection what we are discussing today. Right? Lord comes and gives this. If the authorities or the leaders of society do not give special respect to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and do not offer them not only the sweet words but all facilities, then the path of progress will be lost to human civilization. Then nobody could direct, the entire, human civilization. So all Mahajans are the perfect example to how to be a great leader. The Lord personally wanted to teach this, and therefore he offered so much praise to the Kumaras. So, though Jaya and Vijaya, this is the Lord's will to take birth in the womb of a Diti, and this is being, these pastimes, being done with four Kumaras, and these four Kumaras actually not entered into the Vaikuntha. From the doorstep only, again they came back, and that is, further, discussion or detailed about that. And here Prabhupada purport ends, and a quick summary I would like to, give here is, so initially we discussed about, who all are, Mahajan, what are the qualities of, leader, and the meaning of Mahajano Yena Gataha Sa Pantaha we have discussed, and what is the difference between Brahmana and Vaishnava, and why the protection is so important for Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas, because they all, twice born. All these three category are twice born. Otherwise, it will become, so what is this? Nangshyati. That means such a civilization will be destroyed or, annihilated. But we should follow the Deva Patha. That means the path of the royal road of the demigods. And then finally, Lord himself exhibits all this quality, he himself apologized. How, he is the, beyond all this Mahajan, Lord is, Atmaram. He don't want anything. And he exhibits the good qualities to all these Kumaras also, as well as he is protecting his devotees also according to his will. And that particular devotees act. So here I will, end the summary of today's verse. And once again, if at all, if there is any offenses in my way of communication, please forgive me. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions, so another 3 more minutes are there, we can take. Or you can share your suggestions. It will be helpful. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. If there is no questions, then once again, thanks to all the participants and thanks to temple authorities for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Padmanabha, Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
I just wanted to know that as you were talking about, very nice, very, very excellent class, Prabhu, very informative. What I want to know is that we were talking about the Mahajans. And what is the difference between these Mahajans and Sampradaya, which we follow, Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya and Sri Sampradaya? What is the difference between these two, Prabhu? Mahajans means we have to follow their guidance, now how they acted and how exactly, Prabhu. Can you please elaborate a little bit, Prabhu?
No. Yeah. Very, very, nice question, Prabhu. See, all our, Goswamis, they are also as equivalent to Mahajans, and they are Mahajan only. No doubt about it. There is no question of thinking, in that direction. So all our Goswamis also are Mahajans, because they are following why they are Mahajanas, because how, Swayambhu Manu followed the parampara, and they are also following, their, Guru Maharaj. We know how Prabhupada exhibited, when Western reporters were asking why you have chosen, Western country to preach this, your philosophy or whatever, something they were asking. Then Prabhupada Prabhupada mentioned very simply, my Guru Maharaj instructed this, I have come here. He would have given, so many other explanation, why I have come to these Western countries to preach this, right? That is a Vaishnava, first beginning, Vaishnava quality. And then experiencing and setting the role model to become as per, this 3.21 verse, then a person could elevate to become a Acharya. Acharya means what? If I exhibit, then only. Same thing, up to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everybody followed the same, Guru Parampara. So they are also Mahajanas. No doubt about it. Hare Krishna. Did I answer to your, clarity?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. And moreover, Prabhu, in the class, you were just telling about the example of Prabhupada as a millionaire. One should millionaire. Will you please explain it again, Prabhu? I couldn't understand that.
Okay. So this is very simple, Prabhu. There is a difference between, Vaishnava and Brahmana. So the Brahmana, say for example, so Prabhupada gives, magistrate son, and cannot be a magistrate. So the magistrate or, any cricketer's son cannot be a cricketer, like that situation. So they have all the facilities, with them. So in magistrate house, you can find all the material which is so favorable to become a magistrate or a judge. In whatever, the cricket player's house, or, say, it is so perfect environment to provided with all the opulent facilities to become, what they could be, right? So a millionaire means, millionaire you can categorize into the one who has got, more money, like, hundreds and thousands of dollars. So these Brahmanas are not necessarily to become a millionaire. So like how many cricketers' son or a daughter could not be a cricketer. Many magistrate, children could not be a magistrate. So likewise, though the facility is there, facility is provided, not necessarily they could become a Brahmana as well as Vaishnava. Right? There are two things. One is they should possess those qualities, then they could be a Brahmana. And after possessing that, they could attain the stage of preaching also. That means going to the next stage of Vaishnava. So there are two verses I have quoted, associated to this, what you are asking. So the verse is Srimad Bhagavatam 6.13.3. According to Padma Purana, it is mentioned that, and Prabhupada also quoted this example. That means one may be a Brahmana in terms of his culture and family, and may be expert in Vedic knowledge, mantra, tantra, Visharadaha. But if he is not a Vaishnava, he cannot be a guru. If I am not following, though I know so many philosophy, though I know so many things, if I am not at all following, how can I become a guru or a Vaishnava? The expert Brahmana may not be a Vaishnava, but Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. This is what from Padma Purana and Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 13th chapter and 3rd verse, it is mentioned. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, I got it, Prabhu. Prabhu, can I ask one more thing, Prabhu?
Yes.
Prabhu, like Mahajana and will you please clear my doubt, like Mahajana and Sampradaya, what we follow? Like we follow Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, and the Sampradaya is there to Rudra Sampradaya. So what is the difference between Mahajana and the Sampradaya?
Very simple to understand, Prabhu. See, Sampradaya, many people, today, somebody claims that, I am a Goswami by birth, right? Let me attempt. Okay. So other senior devotees also can add after this thing. And see, somebody claims that, I am born in a Goswami family. I am born in, so-and-so family. This is a Sampradaya. This is called Sampradaya. They have been, provided with very good facility. They have been, coming in the parampara. But are they qualified, to follow their footsteps? Very simple to understand. Sampradaya means those who have been provided with that facility, are they qualified or not is the biggest question. That is for understanding better way of Sampradaya. And then when you ask for Mahajana means personally they have attained that quality and they have exhibited for the common people, then they could be a Mahajana. Is it related with what you mean? Sampradaya means.
Yeah. It's very clear now, Prabhu. I was a little confused regarding Mahajana and Sampradaya. It's very clear, Prabhu. Very clear. Thanks a lot, Prabhu.
That is the meaning of Sampradaya. I was born in a Goswami family. I was born in Sri Vaishnava family. I was born in ISKCON devotees family. You name any parampara. But am I qualified in that parampara? That is then the person can become a. According to that parampara, that person will become a Mahajan. Others will not accept, others will take it or not. That is not subject to our, discussion. So this is, what is Sampradaya and what is Mahajanas, as you asked, specifically like that. So Hare Krishna, Vidurmadha Prabhu can, add or, because if at all, you can correct me if anything is.
So nice, actually. Prabhu is also convinced. So basically, Mahajana is basically an example, right? It's an individual capacity. But when you say parampara, it is the succession of that Mahajan. For example, if you see the 4 paramparas, Shiva, Brahma, and 4 Kumaras, and Lakshmi Devi herself, Shri. But if you see, these 3 are already Mahajanas, Shiva and Brahma and the 4 Kumaras. So basically they are examples, and there are disciplic succession under them is the parampara. So we are coming in the Brahma Madhva you yourself mentioned, which means Brahma is the identified Mahajan, not that there are others are not Mahajan, like Prabhu said. Like sometimes, when you call out, like there are wonderful students and you name 2-3 students, that doesn't mean the others are not. There are others, but you take for example, like, to show some characters that you give an example so people can quickly visualize. That doesn't mean others are not. So there was, to give little small practical Prabhupada pastime. So someone, Prabhupada gave a class and all that, and then someone said, oh, there are 14 Mahajanas, so you are the 15th Mahajana? That person asked. Prabhupada said, yes, and you can be the 16th Mahajana. Which means what? All of us can become a Mahajana. That means wonderful examples of following the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in Bhagavatam and other scriptures, some of them are given as example. And parampara or disciplic succession is following the Mahajanas. Prabhu said, you have to follow the Mahajanas. In the beginning, he gave that verse, right? Pantaha. You have to follow the Mahajanas. And this parampara is the followers of the Mahajanas. That's it. Hare Krishna.
Thanks,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. It's very clear, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandapana.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thanks for a nice question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thanks for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Nice.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we can, stop here for the day. And once again, thanks to all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.